Hi, wowsoloist here, and this is how to make gold in 8.3 using alts, using the assaults mechanism. And this may seem surprising to you because I think a lot of people consider 8.3 to be not alt-friendly, and it's definitely not. However, there are ways of making with a number of alts, 6,000 to 10,000 gold per alt per week. And that may be sufficient to motivate you to take your alts through that horrifically long, painful, not enough portals, 2.5 hour roughly intro quest line, which I call the attunement to the 8.3 experience. Oh yeah, along the way you'll also get a 470 cloak, whoopee, and a 440-ish corrupted pair of bracers, also whoopee. Notice that those pieces are, of course, the weakest pieces of gear that you have, and thus, since the eye level that you have is a weighted average, they count the least toward your eye level. So that is not the reason, especially since the second week, when the raid started this week on the 21st, at reset, the Kultiris and Zandalar world quests started giving 430 level items in emissary chests, and some quests are giving 415 trinkets, etc. So you can get some better gear just out in PvE, not 440, but close. So why would you put, let's say you have 5 alts or 10 alts. Let's say you have 10 alts, make a round number. Why would you put yourself through 10 days of several hours of running them through the attunement quest line? And the answer is, do you want to make 60,000 gold to 100,000 gold a week with not that much of your time? In the case of the 60,000 gold, it's a few minutes twice a week per alt. So let's talk about how. So each of the weeks there is a major assault in one of Uldum or the Vale, and there are 2 minor assaults. One is the first half of the week, and then Friday evening, 7 p.m. PST, 10 p.m. EST in North America. Europe will vary slightly. It's on Wowhead. You can look it up. And at that point, the minor assault will change from one side of the zone to the other side, and there will be a new minor assault. So let's ignore all the exploits of trying to get multiple, lesser visions and assaults or whatever. You've got the ability to make 2,000 gold from the major assault and 2,000 gold from each of the minor assaults per tune, per alt. So that's 6,000 gold per alt. Now that's not where it ends. And we're just talking gold here, so we're not talking about ranking up your cape. That's a different issue. We're not talking about coalescing visions. We're not talking about corrupted mementos and getting up the tech tree. We're just talking gold. In the case of the dailies, and that 6,000 gold doesn't count the dailies. The dailies are, some of them are 200 plus gold each. Some are about 178. Others, for some reason, are like 78. And I haven't quite figured out why, but on average, they seem to be adding up to somewhere around 600 gold if you can get all of them done per alt. Now, per day. Now, obviously, that's something where you would want to adjust yourself. If you get the kill 3 rares or 5 rares or something, then you're probably, you'll carry it along. If you find some rares, fine, but you're probably not going to spend hours per alt doing that. But the other quests, dailies, take them, and if you have to fill a bar to do an assault, you have to fill a bar, kill some things. You might as well take the dailies. You probably kill the same things. And so you'll get the dailies for free, and then you go and you kill the assault boss, which is usually not all that tough. And right now at the beginning of 8.3, there's lots of people around to help you anyway. So if you get 600 gold on those dailies, and you do choose to do them, and it is optional, then that can add up to another 4,000 gold a week per alt if you do them every day. And so that can give you up to 10,000 gold per alt. If you have 10 alts, that's 100,000 gold. That's 400,000 gold a month. Guess what? That's more than 2 subs. So that by itself is probably worth it. Given I've seen an assault, when you get used to it now, week 2, it's definitely more like a few minutes. If you know how much to kill and what the weaker mobs are to kill, then you can target it. So I would strongly suggest that this is something worth considering. It has made me rethink playing 8.3, to be frank, because as a soloist and as an alt person and a gold maker and a multi-boxer and having 3 accounts that I have to pay for with tokens, I'm always looking for repeatable sources of relatively easy gold that don't drive me totally nuts with boredom doing. And so this sounds like it would make a great contribution if they don't nerf it. And since they have nerfed the emissaries somewhat since 8.3 dropped, I have seen one 2,000 gold emissary on my Tauren, on my Horde, and none on the Alliance side. There were lots over the holidays, the Christmas holidays. And so if that's going to continue, then we're going to need to replace those emissaries. But 6,000 gold per week per toon is much more than we got out of the emissaries. Now, I have seen varying things this week with the paragons, but in general, the paragons this week are up in gold. I did have one that came in at 3,700, but I've had most of them are coming in at 47 and 5,700 gold. So that's a good thing, but you can't really count on that lasting. Blizzard has in the past made paragons higher at the beginning of an expansion, and then as people play less and less, the gold seems to drop off over time. But this seems to be a great way of complementing emissaries, paragons, old raid runs, and farming, multi-boxing, and the other ways of making gold. So initially, I was not impressed by 8.3, and that's a separate video I'll do, but because I find it very non-melee friendly, and I find it friendly only to really specific classes. There are a few classes that do it well. It is extremely ranged DPS friendly. The Touch of the Dying essence is frankly worth running the 2.5 hour attunement to get. It's also worth running those inner visions that you can complete the quest for. I'm thinking those that don't have the quest that's fill the bar, because I've found that to be a bit challenging on some toons, but the other quests are quite simple, click on 4 portals, etc. And each one of those lesser visions that you do per week, and they're dailies, will give you a token. 3 of those tokens together will give you an upgrade to that essence. So that essence alone gives you a substitute for the crucible as a primary, and it periodically has a much lesser cooldown, and it hits like a truck compared to the old 8.0 or 8.2 essence. So the essences alone are worth it. The gear eventually will be worth it as you gather up enough pieces. The cloak, it depends. The corruption, probably not, unless you are a raider and you're planning to run the raid. The corruption may not be that much value outside of the horrific visions. And running that, again, is its own reward system. But in terms of simple gold making, I think that this has given me, thinking about it, a reason to take a number of my 14 alts now through 8.3 and use them to do gold making. It's been a very tough ride, as you know, with the last few expansions with Blizzard. Blizzard has been giving us a wild ride. So we have had expansions where alts have been terribly prejudiced against. Then we've had expansions like Legion where alts were encouraged. And in fact, we've been encouraged to try different classes, try different specs within the class. And so we've wound up with a bunch of alts. Now, BFA has been a wild ride in itself. 8.0, 8.1 were very alt-unfriendly in many ways, but 8.2 partially solved that. The benthic gear allowed a new alt to catch up to 385 very quickly. And also, then we had the 15th anniversary scenario in November and December, and that was ultimately alt-friendly. Basically, with Korok, since they were paying you in experience per minute to stay in there, let alone what the quests and other things would give, and killing Korok and winning the battleground would give you. So a lot of us, myself included, we leveled up a lot of alts to 120. I had just finished my 7th alt to 120 in late October, early November when Koroks came out. And this allowed me to finish the other 3, including my Horty, on my main account and my 2 characters on my second account, all of whom were somewhere between 117 and 112. I was working on 117 in my second account when Koroks dropped, and all of a sudden it was just an evening to finish them, a couple of hours. And I had 2 120s on my second and third account, or 110, sorry, boosts that were on my second and third account from buying the licenses. And so I was able to use those boosts, create 2 new Druid Tailor characters and on those accounts, and then take them through Koroks in an evening and get them into basically close to Nazjatar, into Nazjatar in one case. And then in the third account, since she's the first 120, she's got her own problems in trying to get Nations United to get in there, but that's a different issue. So now we wind up with a whole group of alts, in my case 14, coming out of Koroks, and then we run up right into 8.3 where alts are now very difficult again. And so I really don't understand where Blizzard is going with this multiple personality disorder, on again, off again view to alts within the same expansion, literally just the end of 8.25 with the holiday, and then 8.3 being so opposite. And so I'm assuming that one hand is not knowing what the other hand is doing, and that these events and patches are designed by different groups that aren't, they're not communicating, they might be, but they're not agreeing with each other. So anyway, just to wrap this up quickly, I'm looking right now, and I will update you later on it, or we'll talk about it on stream on Twitch, or on YouTube. But this is definitely my thinking, at a beginning of week 2 of 8.3, is that I will start to move more of my alts through the attunement quest line and start seeing how this gold for assaults will work in terms of gold gathering, because it certainly sounds like it would help. Anyway, leave your comments below and let's see what you think about this. And we'll see you later here with another video. I've got a whole pile of them that are in the chute right now, or we'll see you on Twitch. Thank you very much. It's wowsoloist signing out.